Yeah. Another week in the books. Um, how you doing, good brother?
Good, man. Doing good, man. No complaints over here, bro. Good.
You know who ain't got no complaints is the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Like it's doing well, right? Like in
Yeah,
terms of
man.
like
Yeah.
it's like the people that so there was an indictment about superhero movies, and there was the term was superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
Um, the Guardians of the Galaxy is like thumbing their nose in that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is kind of thumbing the nose about it really wasn't a
Ain't
Guardians
no
of the it wasn't a superhero fatigue, it was a mediocre movie
movie
fatigue, right?
fatigue. Exactly.
Right. It's like
We tired of mediocre superhero
it's
movies.
it's the
Bare
thing
bare
now is
minimum.
like it's like the thing now is like it's like you just don't after a while you just don't get it off your name. Like your product gotta be right. We'll show up.
You gotta bring it.
And like for this, like they're doing a lot of bigging up of the fact that people are loving this finale, this end of the trilogy, to the point where two things are happening. One, they're saying that this is the best movie, MCU movie since Endgame. Debatable for me, right? We've had that conversation, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I get it. It's not a now here's my hate line. I don't think the bar's that high, right?
Right.
But facts being what they are, I get the argument. But the second one, the reason why the thing I want to ask you, and some people are saying this is the best MCU trilogy. Like we're gonna take Avengers out of it in terms of like the individual franchises within the MCU.
Yeah.
Some are saying this is the best MCU trilogy. So my question for you that I've had: where's the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy rank in the MCU pantheon?
That's a great question.
What does it rank? We can start from lowest to highest.
Okay. So at number 6, Ant-Man, obviously.
Yeah.
And not to completely trash the trilogy. It's not a bad trilogy, especially the first two movies. It's just they didn't stick the landing, and they didn't have a definitive third movie that was really attached to the first two movies.
Okay.
They didn't really wrap this thing up the greatest, so it really hurt Ant-Man. Number 5, I got Iron Man in there.
Oh,
Yeah, I got Iron Man. Yeah. Okay, so it's rewatchability, right?
Okay.
How often now, as iconic as those first two Iron Man movies were, they're not the most for me. They're not the most rewatchable movies. I'm a big fan of Iron Man 3, but when you start to think about the first two movies and comparing them to that third movie, to me, just the first two movies kind of like they meld together, right? They're like the same. They're like one movie, one, part two. They're definitely like one story, with the third one being very different from the first two. But while those they do have their place as iconic films in a way, and iconic to the MCU, I don't revisit those movies as often as I do the other trilogy.
All right, let's go what you got it for.
Yeah, number 4, and this was close, man. I got Thor at number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Thor at number 4. It was close. Like I didn't just put Thor over Iron Man, but Thor. We talked about all right, going back to again. Let's go back to the arc, right?
Okay.
Thor's arc is a little bit like they even with all three movies having different directors, they do offer you an arc with Thor from 1 through 3.
Yes.
Thor is basically just this sort of gung ho god, I guess you would say, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah.
But he just like so irresponsible as a god. He all about like I want to go on adventures. I want to get in fights and I want to kill, like, you know what I mean? Like he want to go on he want to be a god, like an adventurer, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
And
like his favorite word is glorious.
Yeah, he want to be glorious, you know what I mean? So he's doing
it
for the glory, and obviously he had to get taught a lesson. He loses the hammer, he get cast down to Midgard, Earth or whatever, kicked out of Asgard, and Loki as a villain is so powerful in that movie. That's a performance we forget about because it's so far away from that now. We forget about how good Tom Hiddleston was as Loki. He's like the other half of that movie. He's such a perfect foil for Thor that it really like like that movie is like it makes that movie is aged very well, in my opinion. If you go back and watch it,
Absolutely. He was two characters in that movie. Like, he was the brother, but then he was
yeah,
the villain.
yeah, that
Like,
dynamic was
and probably was
crazy.
more than that. And then like the fallen sun. Like, there's a lot of angles
Yeah,
that he hit in that movie.
yeah, man, yeah.
Which makes sense about why he would be so dope. I wonder if they knew that going into Avengers movie that they were going to make Tom Hiddleston the main villain, or did they just stumble upon that because of his performance?
He's one of the few. Yeah, think about it. Like, think about the MCU movies, man. It's always been about the struggle to find a great villain. He's one of the few, but he didn't just pop up in Avengers. He started that arc in Thor. That was part of that movie was his movie.
Yeah.
So I got it. That's what pushed it over the edge, because he blows whatever villains they got out in all 3 Iron Man movies out of the water. His performance alone, I put him up for the again. And I know I keep going back to Iron Man, but we thought we had the Mandarin. That was, man, up until the turn, we thought we had something, bro. Like that, man. You want to talk about an all-timer, all-time villain, bro? Man, he could have been that.
When that boy said, I did that. When he did that line, oh man, he was that dude.
He said a fortune cookie. He had some lines in that movie, man. But yeah, but they ended up turning. It was a gag. So
it was a gag.
Thor wasn't a gag. He had one of the best villains in the entire MCU history. And follow that up with a movie at the time that was panned as the worst MCU movie, but we talked about this all the time. It's gotten better.
The further you get away.
Yeah, the further you get away from it, the better it's gotten. It's definitely the weakest out of all 3.
Yeah,
it's definitely the weakest part. It might be the weakest part 2 out of all the trilogies. I think you can argue that.
Oh, that's a good. That's a wow.
Maybe, but
it might.
Yeah, it might be, but. Again, go back to arcs. We did get Loki. Loki returned. We still dealt with this arc that Thor was on. Now he's on a new arc where it's like he's trying to, figure out his relationship with Jane. He's trying to save Asgard. It's in chaos. He's still dealing with his brother. It's like a lot of things going on, but Thor was on a real arc, man. Like you can't you gotta put that out there, because whereas Tony wasn't on as strong of an arc. Well, yeah, number 3, I got Homecoming Spider-Man. I guess you call it the Homecoming, what do you call it?
Call it Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah, Tom Holland Spider-Man.
I feel like you have to annotate it that this is Tom Holland Spider-Man.
You got to.
Because even when the MCU started, there was another Spider-Man.
It was. Right. Yeah, so and it's literally another trilogy. Yeah, it's another Spider-Man trilogy by Tobey Maguire.
And there's another trilogy, right? So it's 2 parts to it.
Yeah. Tom Holland Spider-Man, I just got it here. I feel like, again, this is where they start 4-3-2, it's about consistency, where I would tip Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Even though they're not my favorite films per se, but they're very consistent, and they're very well made, right? Like they're not low quality films.
No, they're not.
And they very they're very dense films in that way, right? Like there's like comedy in there. Like these movies are like long. They're long movies. They're not just like, you know what I mean? You watch that first Homecoming, man. It's like a lot going on, bro. It's like comedy. It's like a full on teen comedy, teen romance, coming of age, and it's a Spider-Man superhero movie, and it's dope. Like, and they got a dope villain.
It's definitely a coming of age.
Definitely a coming of age movie.
They had dope villains in each one.
They had dope villains in each one.
They don't fall for the. That's a great point. They don't fall for the usual. You could poke holes in villains, and in each of these trilogies, right? I don't think you could poke that hole in the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogies.
Yeah. So,
Mysterio was dope.
Mysterio was.
What was the other first one? The
Al.
Michael Keaton.
Al, yeah. Al was dope.
His was dope. Like, and then obviously, you know what you get in the final. Shit.
Yeah, the whole Rose Gallery on
display.
So again, man, they're close. 3 could be 2, but in this case, I guess I would say what keeps it at number 3 is that maybe Spider-Man, like, and especially in the first movie, like Tony Stark kind of like carried some of that movie for him, right? Like he wasn't the strong, like he's never been the strongest on his own. Like he's all like second one had
That's a
the
really
second
good
one
point.
had Fury in there. Nick Fury was in the second
Yeah.
one, and then the third one is like, well, the third one was
I feel like he grew up in the third
he,
one.
he grew up in the third one. He
I feel
became
like
Spider-Man in
he
the third one. Yeah,
but they told us that. That's
yeah,
the funny thing
right.
about if you'd have asked me this, because we've had these conversations about. I mean to cut you off. We had these conversations about Spider-Man MCU, right? And Tom Holland,
Yeah.
like Tom Holland probably being my least favorite Peter Parker. But if you asked me this at this time last year, I guess it would have been, right before Spider-Man No Way Home, I would have said that the reason why is because he's not really like it would have it could have been 5, right? To be quite honest, could have been like, well, this is not Spider-Man for real, and he shouldn't have all his stuff, and he shouldn't do this and do that. But it wasn't until the movie ended that it was like, oh, this is his origin story.
Yeah, that's what this all. I had to figure that out too.
We meet all the other Spider-Mans after all this shit.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
That was it. No, we've been looking at his origin story. We haven't been looking at year 1, year 2, and year 3. No, we've been looking at -3, 2, 1. We on year 0, my guy. By the third movie, like
even though he had already had the bite, but at the end of the day, we was seeing
he wasn't Spider-Man.
It was almost like first week Spider-Man, right? It's like this is what he would after the bite, like not after some action.
We didn't see Toby go through this. We didn't see Garfield like this. This kid in this universe, he just happened to be in the universe with the Avengers, and the Avengers played a big part in his life. Tony came in and recruited him, but he was at year 0. He wasn't even in his years yet. Like he ain't year 1 Spider-Man until the end of No Way Home.
Like his own
when he's shooting through, when he's swinging through the snow and he do the little flip.
When he was at Rockefeller Center with the when he did all that, that was like, oh, that's Spider-Man. That's Peter Parker. That's the one we know. We've
been looking at his origin story. That's a good way to put it. We've been looking at this dude's origin story. Yeah, all his homecoming, far from home. No, this is the origin story. Like this is it. Now we in year 1. Now we gonna have year 1 Spider-Man in this 4th movie or whatever it is, or if they do another trilogy, whatever it is, or whatever they do. Yeah, we was basically looking at not a prequel, but in a sense, just his teenage years, something we never got to see in the other movies. Number 2, I got Guardians of the Galaxy, the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, and the reason I got them at number 2 is again, consistency is key, right?
Okay.
These films have delivered. All 3 films not only being emotional, very well acted, no real weak character in the entire trilogy. Never a weak character on the team. Very strong villains, maybe with the exception of I can't even say that. They all strong villains. Every movie succeeded in expanding the universe and the lore. World building was great.
That's a good point.
Just building on
the lore build.
Yeah, building on the next and every again the arc of the Guardians of the Galaxy, bro. They didn't just save the day in the first movie, come back the second movie, and they all friends. No, they dealt with they've been butting heads from the first movie all the way to the third movie. Like they literally had to mold together. You know what I mean? And all of that delivered. You know what I mean? Again, because you come into that second movie, it's like they back to square one almost. Like they hate each other. You know what I mean? Like why are we even a team? Like you know what I mean? Like Rocket is like, you know what I mean? Rocket is just even more of an a-hole like in the second movie. By the time we get to the third movie, you really get the sense that they become a family.
Absolutely.
And it works. So Guardians of the Galaxy, I got a strong number 2 to my number 1.
Yeah.
Which is the Captain America trilogy. And the reason I got the Captain America, again, not only the the consistency element, the arc element of Captain America, meeting Bucky in the first movie, seeing Bucky return in the second movie as the Winter Soldier, and then in the third movie, we close out the Bucky arc. You know what I mean? Like and it's explode. It's like revelations.
You could almost title it the Bucky trilogy, right?
It's
like because it was
trilogy.
part. It was like an underlying. What became in 2 and 3 became the story, but it was like you didn't know when you watched the first movie that like, oh, this is bookmark when he falls off the train. That means something.
It had to be the Bucky. It had to be the Bucky trilogy, right? Because Captain America was pretty much like we knew what Captain America was about by the middle of the first movie. He jumped on a grenade. It didn't matter if he had the serum. This dude was a hero. He just happened to get the serum. He changed his body. He becomes a superhero. Then he leading the army. He leading his team against Hydra. He's the superhero in the first movie, and
this is facts.
And then it's basically a sad ending. He go into the ice. He wake up, he in the future.
He had a date. Remember, he's like, goddamn, I had a date.
He had a date, bro, and he never got that dance. So we come into the second movie again, and now we realize what this is about. Because Captain America he's set. Like we know we don't really need a Rogers arc, right? We know like he don't really.
That's a good point.
There's no gray really with Rogers, but there becomes some. But we really kind of know, like, all right, no, he's a hero, and he's working for the greater good, right? He's working for the greater good. It's only when Bucky comes back to the picture where he start to question things. Like, wait, now we see the seeds leading up to Civil War, but we got to deal with Winter Soldier just murking everybody. You know what I mean?
And Project Insight.
Oh yeah, Project.
You know what I'm saying? Like the whole. I mean, you got the Hydra arc, but it really is because of Bucky.
Yeah, they got these ships that want to just
because if you don't throw the Bucky part in it, it's just there's no soul in it. That's a good point because it's just okay. Hydra is taking over, which is a great story, right? Hydra takes over. Is the infiltrated Shield.
Yeah,
but the soul of the movie is the Winter Soldier.
Like, not only do I gotta defeat Hydra, I gotta bring my best friend back.
Yeah,
I
got nothing else in this world.
Yeah, I
got trust anybody. I got nothing. Like I don't know to be.
Literally, great point. Literally can't trust anybody anymore. Fury gone for the most part.
And Fury talking that noise in the beginning.
Yeah,
like I thought when he showed them the ships, he was like, yeah, we better neutralize 1,000 threats before they even come out the Spider Cave. He was like, I thought. What Cap say? I thought the punishment usually came after the crime, right? Like Cap wasn't really with that, and Fury said it. Like it's about time you get with the program. Like Captain went to the Smithsonian to try to like get some of his pay, trying to like get that vibe, that feeling back. Like this ain't it, Chief. I got a motorcycle. Like everybody got to eat. They got cars. I'm on a motorcycle driving around. Like I don't know where I fit in this world. And then you throw Bucky into like the soul of that part. Oh my goodness, because Peggy died. Like he can't trust Natasha, right? Like, but he never lost himself in that.
Nah, he didn't. And it's just
the arc we didn't know we needed because it didn't need an arc.
Yeah,
that's a good point. It didn't need an arc.
He didn't need an arc. We knew where Cap was. We knew where he stood. He was always gonna be on the side, like the right side. You know what I mean? Like he was always gonna be like, nah, I'm just fighting for the greater good, and I'm an Avenger. You know what I mean? So
that guy we got in the beginning couldn't have picked up the hammer in Endgame.
Nah, he wasn't worthy. You're right.
That's a good point. Like it's the arc. It's the arc they were able to build that they didn't have to build but they did. And I don't think they could have done that without Bucky.
Yeah, man. So that's my number one, man. I ain't I try to save some, when you break yours down. But
that's just beautiful because I got all different points. So I'm gonna go with mine, right?
All right.
And we start at the same place. It's Ant-Man. And Ant-Man is easy, like Ant-Man is last, right?
Yeah, we knew Ant-Man was gonna be last.
Ant-Man is last, but my point is that let me get rid of that.
The question is, how last is it?
Yeah. Like, what kind of last is it, right? Like what's the level of last? Like, I'm watching baseball and like the Boston Red Sox are in last place in the AFC in the East, but they like 7 games over 500, right? Like they last, and I don't want to big up Ant-Man. Like I say, it's last. It's not I don't like it. so it's last place, last place. But it's just actually like for me, it's like it's actually the most shocking franchise to have the trilogy, considering none of the movies were blockbusters. It's also not a franchise
That's a good
that
point.
people were clamoring for. It wasn't like, yo, we need another Ant-Man movie, right? It's not like it's the Hulk. Hulk didn't even get 2.
Hulk didn't get 2.
I mean, I know he was a big part.
Yeah,
He was a
he
big
didn't
part
get
in
2, right.
Ragnarok.
Damn.
He was a big part in the first Avengers movie, but
Yep.
like we can probably pick any of those characters and say, hey, they were a big part in the Avengers movie, right? Like we can go into that. He wasn't the only one. He just probably was like the standout. For me, it's ranked last. So I never really had any really expectations for Ant-Man joints. Like it wasn't like I just think it's where it's supposed to be. None of the movies were great. So, you know, like we could pick about which one was the best or the worst between its own trilogy, right? But like it was what it was.
And it's on its own merits. It's not a bad trilogy. Like
it's not.
It's a decent arc. The first movie, like Scott is a different guy by the time we get to the end of the second movie.
Yes.
You know, trying to change his life around. You know, both films are very much, you know, they're sort of like heist films.
100%. And
yeah,
there was a
funny.
Causality. Like you get to I mean to cut you, but you get to number 2. There was a causality from what happened in number 2 that was from because they had the whole Avengers movie in between, right? It went from the first one to like he wasn't going to do that kind of stuff anymore. Then he immediately did that kind of stuff again when he showed up with Cap in Germany, and that played a part in what happened in number 3. I mean, in the second movie. Third is a little bit of an outlier. So let me go to number 5. Number 5, I actually have the Thor. I have the Thor trilogy, and my rationale is I think the Thor trilogy is the most basic of trilogy of the bunch, right? Like it's like a straight line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, Ragnarok is an outlier, right? But it's a straight line, like where you're starting with characters. By the time we get to the third, within the characters that we have, like we've been moving up, like even the events of the movies that have happened in between, whether it was they threw a little bit in whatever other movie, and then obviously. They always played a big part in Avenger movies, right? Especially the first and the third. The stuff that happened in the first Avenger movie, and then we get to Infinity War. The stuff that happened in Thor played a very big part. Like it's usually the movie or close to the movie before the Avengers movie, right? When you're dealing with Loki or you're dealing with Infinity Stones. But I feel like it was like a I don't want to use consistent, right? Because the third movie kind of like takes a leap. Right, one of my points is, the reason why I have Ragnarok as an outlier is I don't think we get the style of Ragnarok without the success of Guardians of the Galaxy. Right, I think Guardians of the Galaxy play a part in the fact.
Yeah, they are very similar. Yeah,
we don't get it if we don't have Guardians of the Galaxy.
We can just be. Yeah, that's a good point. My bad to cut you. That's a great point because you're right. Ragnarok feels very cosmic.
Yes,
compared to Dark World,
absolutely.
It feels like we going to space and
we for real out there.
Yeah, we out here.
We for real out there. So I think it's the trilogy with the most family dynamic, which is usually like the most core thing in any franchise. Thor movies, like the for real Thor movies, the first 3, the trilogy, the family dynamic was a really core thing in those, and you kind of spoke to that between Loki. Then you got what's the father, Odin, right?
Yeah.
Odin, moms die in the second movie. To the point where it's a big part in Endgame. Thor had to let that go.
It was like a reunion, and they had to he had to
let that go.
Like, he had to learn to live with that.
Yeah. His sister, like the family dynamic, which the other ones don't have. To the point, like you say, when you were bringing up Iron Man, they brought that in there.
That's a great
with
point.
with Pepper and everything with the final. But like Thor was always about family at its core. I mean, they had other things going on, but at its core. For me, Thor: Dark World is the first Infinity Stone movie, so it kind of holds a special place.
Yeah,
right. Like the Infinity Stone is such a big deal in terms of my movie life, right? And that being the one. One of the things I know I have it at 5. So I don't know if I'm mentally including the 4th movie, right? The Love and Thunder to me is the worst MCU movie. So I don't know if I'm impacting it.
No, it definitely pays. It definitely impacts. It definitely
it's part of the
pantheon. No, it goes back to like we talked about a couple weeks ago how the Last Jedi affected Force Awakens, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
knowing what it leads to, it will
Yeah,
have an impact on Ragnarok. Cause it's like, damn, that movie was so terrible.
yeah, it was
You know,
bad. I think, lastly, Thor has the best post credits.
damn, I didn't
Thor
even think about
post
that.
credits are the best, and then they way more. They like
That's a
all
great
of them
point.
impact. I don't. Again, I forget Love and Thunder, but like the first three, all of them impact. Right.
Yeah.
First one, second one, even the
Oh
third
man,
one,
that
because
that third one
they
was
pull up on the sanctuary.
man.
They pull
That
up on
was
the sanctuary.
that was huge, bro.
So yeah, I got Thor as number 5. Number 4, I go Iron Man, and I don't really have a lot to say that you didn't already say. I feel like internally, I feel like it should be higher, right? But I gotta be. But when I do the rank, like it's Iron Man, it's Robert Downey Jr., it's Tony Stark. Like it should be higher, but I have to put it here, mainly because like I think the Iron Man movie the original one is probably a top 10er, right?
Mhm.
Iron Man 3 is probably my favorite
That's
It is
super
my favorite
iconic.
Iron Man movie,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Iron Man 2 set up the first Avenger, right?
It
But I
did.
think when you look at the trilogy, like you can honestly take 2 out of it, and then 1 and 3 flow seamlessly together when you add the Avengers in there, right?
Mhm.
Like this was the guy, because it was departure. Number 2 was like a little bit of a departure of the guy we left in Iron Man. Maybe if Iron Man 2, we saw him do some adventures or something and saw him kind of go on a downward spiral that would lead him to more drinking. Because why would I believe now I'm trying to take shots at it. Why would I believe, other than the comic, why would I believe he would be more into drinking when he was more altruistic at the end of 1?
That's a good point.
Right? Giving him like
Yeah.
I get like Tony Stark's winning that, but just because knowing Tony Stark's. But based on the movie, why would he be the way he was?
Yeah,
It would
why
have
did
made,
he?
like, if he was like
Yeah.
that at the end of 3, after Avengers, like, shit, man, I went into the space. I almost died. No, this, that, and the third. Niggas went and got some
Yeah.
shawarma. Like, I need some yak. Right.
Yeah.
And I need a lot
Yeah.
of yakking. And now I understand, like, the
It
suit was
makes
killing
sense.
them.
Yeah.
This, that, and the third. So if that's the retort, I get it. But it's the second movie, and again for me to like after like getting away from it, like woo, you watch that thing now, boy, hey man, it's all over the place, right?
Oh man.
It's all over the place. So this is why I think it's the second. If 2 was better, I would definitely have this higher.
Okay.
I actually could have this up to number 2 if 2 was better. It just wasn't. Number 3, right? Number 3, I got Guardians of the Galaxy, and this was tough.
Wow.
This was tough.
close though. Yeah.
It was tough. For me, it's the funniest MCU trilogy.
Facts.
Like, I can watch any one of those,
And
I don't laugh as much as I laugh in the other ones. Obviously, I think probably Iron Man would be the number 2.
Because you can argue all of these except for like Captain America are like funny, right?
Yeah.
All these trilogies got like comedy.
Absolutely.
Even Thor at the end.
Even Thor, especially when you get to the end.
Yeah.
But Guardians of the Galaxy is the funniest MCU trilogy.
I think
for me, this is the franchise that realistically allowed the MCU to go cosmic. You brought that up. They don't go cosmic without. They don't successfully. Let me change that. They hadn't. I don't want to disrespect them, but they hadn't successfully gone cosmic until Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, I know they did Thor too, but it wasn't like it was Guardians of the Galaxy that took them to nowhere. It was Guardians of the Galaxy that took them to these different planets. One of my favorite planets that they never bring up, the one where they had like those where they was getting action when the snow was falling down and like my man robot. Wow, we just doing that in the MCU, like for real.
Man.
Like they went cosmic on the different levels, and they made it interesting in space that they don't even, that Miss Marvel, they Captain Marvel wouldn't have been able to do without. I think Guardians of the Galaxy opened our mind to that.
That's a good point
got
about
the Infinite Stone. Go ahead, my bad.
No, my bad. I'm just saying how you brought up. You made a good point observation about the planet they own with basically the android prostitutes.
Yeah,
you start to think like, man, what if? And I'm not saying. And good thing they didn't. Good thing Kevin Feige kept things so cohesive and consistent. But just imagine if James Gunn was allowed to make like a rated R Guardians of the Galaxy. If he was allowed to be more grittier, how much of a space, like a cosmic, if he was allowed to get to like really lean on that more, because he showed you glimpses of it, But if he was like really allowed to get like gritty, like I wonder like where he would have took the cosmic MCU.
We get to see what people title Ravagers would do in
Yeah,
space.
yeah,
Push the envelope for what he can do for a
yeah,
Disney,
he did,
you
man.
MCU situation.
Yeah,
Like took you inside of like what the kind of life they would live, right? Even when they showed up in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Thor and Rocket had that kind of trap set up. That was they was putting in work, right? And
yeah, that
they
was
was putting in work. That was a dope little scene.
yeah,
Like
it
they was
was. Yeah,
work.
all the
So like,
needles.
yeah, exactly. And then my man, what's my man? My guy,
Yandu.
Yondu, and he just ended all that. But but like seeing him how to move, like I think the world he was able to world build inside of a franchise that had already built a world, right? I think the only other person that was able to do that, especially post the building of Avengers, is Coogler, right? But obviously, without what the Wakandan world he built, right, within the MCU was pretty dope. But Gunn did that as well, but he did it on the cosmic side.
That's a good one.
And he was the first to do it. So I got it as 3, and it's only again, it's 3. It's really close, man. But I gotta go with Tom Holland Spider-Man. I'm just gonna copy. I ain't gonna read.
It's hard to argue, man.
That's the
I can't really blame. Yeah, I see what you're saying because I was these were interchangeable. It's very close, man. Tom Holland Spider-Man was the
thing. It's only maybe it's like recency bias and all this and all, because I'll add back to Guardians of the Galaxy is that I'm not in love with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as most. I think it's really good. I'm in love with No Way Home.
I'm with you.
Right.
And
that's a good point. Walking into No Way Home for all the conversation that's going around is the high level of expectation for No Way Home. So that's why I want to hear that shit about your expectations too high. They had other than Endgame, who had a higher level of expectation for their movie? Is it Batman versus Superman? Right? Like higher level. The thing is, it delivered more. It was such a good event, man.
And that's the thing about That's the thing about it. It's like it's only 2 trilogies out of all of these that got better with each movie, right?
Exactly.
You can argue, you can without a doubt that the second movie was better than the first, third movie was better than the second. It's only 2. That's just one of them.
I wouldn't have said that before No Way Home because I've always poked in because I didn't get the vision. It wasn't until Spider-Man swung through Rockefeller Center at the end that I was like, oh, we just watched his origin story. And then it all made sense, right? It made sense to me. But you brought up a good point that I was going to say. I had it, but you spoke to it more eloquently. The franchise was consistent. Now, mind you, my line is I feel like this is the first child of the MCU, right? Like every other thing played up like it built the MCU, and then Tom Holland Spider-Man was like the output, right? Like okay, they made it, and then like this was the first baby of like the MCU, where it was like this is what the MCU would do if they had a character, right? As opposed to like everybody else had to like build their way, Iron Man, like Ant-Man could have been that, right? Like this is what the MCU would do, but like Thor, Iron Man, Captain America are like pillars.
Yeah.
Right. Tom Holland Spider-Man is already like what it was. They already got other movies. But this is like the MCU's version. This is the first one I feel like this is the MCU stamp on the character, right? Like it was already built when they were able to do this.
That's a great way. That's a great point.
They were able to do this. But and then when you go back, it was consistent. Because again,
he was molded through the MCU
100%, and then took off in No Way Home because that was the first one where I actually liked that character, this version of the character.
Real talk.
But the other movies were good. It was better.
No, they were. They're great. They're really good movies. They're like
was dope. Like you brought the Fury part of it, and they had scrolls in there, right? Like it's pretty dope. Like you had the villain. The whole shit I think we've made fun of the fact of what how Nick Fury talked. Bitch, please, you've been in space. Like, wow, y'all did that? That's a pretty dope line. Yeah. Like, it's pretty dope. Mysterio was dope. Everything about it. Like, it's just like wow. But then you get to number 3, and it's just like, oh my God. Like, this is an event. Like it was the first one. It was the second one. I'm lying because I was about to hate. It was the second one that was a non-Avengers movie that was an Avengers level event, in my opinion.
You saying Far From Home?
No Way Home.
Oh, No Way Home. Yeah.
No Way Home was
easily
Avengers level
it,
movie.
Yeah.
And then and plus it tied into the video game that I had just finished.
Yeah.
So
no,
it's
but
a
that's for everybody,
place,
though. Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Special place,
it was a good time for Spider-Man, man.
Like I could easily put Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So it's not like but it was just like it's No Way Home that does. If No Way Home was like 10% less than what it was, then I probably will go to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But No Way Home was so good, man. And I never want to. I may look one day, I like to be a hater sometimes. I'm self-proclaimed a hater. I may look up one day and try to be like, everybody hyping up No Way Home and shit. Like, it was high. I may do that shit one day, right? But in my heart of hearts, I'd be lying to myself. I had the people that was around, and then there's a plays a part of it. It's kind of like what the Batman does for me as well. Like I don't know how I'm gonna feel about the Batman in 5 years. The fact that we was in that pandemic, we was all stuck in our house, we had all this crazy shit going on, right? And that was like the thing that got like when you went, and it was like the first time being nobody work. I work from home now, right? I don't work in the office. I've never seen the new people I work with, right? I've never seen them in person, and like to be out and a bunch of people at the theater, parking lot packed, and sitting in there, we all shared that moment. People crying, people laughing. When Daredevil caught the brick,
oh my god,
this trilogy became the second one in the pantheon.
Oh, man.
When he caught that brick, like it's on. It's on. And number one, I mean, it's easy to go without saying. It's the same thing you got. The hardest thing about actually making this number one with it, because this is with ease. It's with ease, right?
Yeah.
The hardest thing about, I feel like it's a cheat code because Civil War is basically an Avengers movie.
I gotta recant my statement though. Damn. Because I said each movie was better than the last. Nah. Take that back. Only Tom Holland Spider-Man did that. Because
it got better with each one. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I feel like with the Captain America, my line is the Winter Soldier to me is the best, and I'll stand on this ground. I'm doing a rewatch now. To me, right now, today, it's still the best MCU movie. I say all that to say, Winter Soldier is the Picasso, the Mona Lisa for them, right? For me, whatever I'm just using that. I don't know if that's the best painting, but I'm just putting it out there. It's Blueprint, right?
Yeah.
You may have a more favorite Hova album, but it's Blueprint.
Ain't nothing bigger than Blueprint, though.
It's Blueprint.
That's the biggest Hova album.
And I didn't think about I didn't think about why. It's easy for me to say, it's the best one. But when you brought up the thing about the Bucky aspect to it, and then we started talking, it's like, yeah, because like it would be easy just to say that's a comic line, like the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. got infiltrated. That wasn't new to the movie. If you paid attention to the comics, right, that was already there, right? And obviously the Bucky thing is a newer thing in terms of like I think it was the Ultimate MCU or whatever. Like that's a newer thing. But at the end of the day, even that's but it's like how they blended that together. Right, because what you ultimately got from a Captain America, and you said it, so I'm just piggybacking on it. It's the arc that you didn't know you needed. You knew what it was. You knew what he was about. He was damn near Superman, and like the MCU Superman. When we get to the original, he was truth, justice, in the American way.
It's like Superman and Batman almost.
Like what did he say? And what did he say that in Avengers when Black Widow was like, this was who Cap was. When Black Widow was like, you might want to sit this one out, Cap. These people are basically God.
Yeah, exactly.
And boy, Cap was like, I'm pretty sure, hey man, I'm pretty sure God don't dress up like that. Whatever his line was. Yeah, that's what he was about. It's about time that he got to the end. He was like, I'm through asking for forgiveness, and I don't ask for when he was in Infinity War. He was like, I'm forgiveness, and I'm through asking for permission. Right?
Wow.
Like he was his own leader. He was his own man. Like he had lived it. He was in a lived-in world now. Whereas in the beginning, he was just trying to find his way.
Great point.
And he was the leader. When we got to the end, he was the leader. Like they listened to him.
You want to talk about building up a line, bro? Taking an entire all those phases of films just to get to Avengers Assemble. Like But to really earn it though,
It's a earn it.
to really earn it, man, to where when it hit, it was so powerful. Like,
Yes.
damn.
Yes.
Yeah, that was, man.
So that's how I like I don't really have much more to add to that. I always think, like I said, I think they have the ultimate cheat code by basically making Captain America at that time Avengers 3 movie, right? The Civil War movie. It was an Avengers movie, but it's part of his pantheon. And it properly set up what we got, and mostly like the reason why now Thanos was that dude and he would have probably overpowered her anyway, but they were not a unit to the point where when we got to the Infinity War and what's my man Hulk Banner was like, just call him up. He was like, who could find him? He was like, oh, probably Steve Rogers. Even the Wizards knew, like, man, this is some bullshit. Like, he don't talk to Steve Rogers no more. And that was all because of Civil War. Like, only person in that room that knew that wasn't like what the hell y'all talking about was Banner. I always feel like, wow, they know the Avengers broke up. Yeah, that's because of Civil War. Yeah. And it was based on some kind of the stance, what they all stood on. And it's the best, and it's the best trailer.
Oh man, that's my favorite trailer, man.
It's the best.
It's the best trailer. Damn, we didn't even factor that in all these because oh man, that's a quick that's another ranking, man. Be right. Best trailer.
Because sometimes you got to put the time it came out, right? Like it's easy, like because you got to think about the impact of the time that it dropped as opposed to like some, you got to get that feeling, right? Like, oh, well, the movie could have been trash or whatever it was. And it was like, what did it do? What, like example, and I know that's not the Sith element, but was like that Obi trailer. The show didn't do with that trigger because they cheated and they put the Duel of the Fates and all that music in there, right? They cheated, right? But the trailer for when it dropped, chills all day. And the Civil War trailer is the best MCU trailer.
Stay hidden.
IMO. Oh, stay hidden. Like it was a trash line in the show. It was some coward Obi stuff.
Stay hidden.
In the movie, in the trailer, it was game.
Hey,
you stay hidden.
Stay hidden.
What he say? What he say at the end of the Sith the episode 3 that ended up showing in Rebels when he was like, "Hey, trust in the Force. The Republic has fallen, but there's going to be a new hope." That's how that stay hidden line sounded until
damn.
That's a dope little line, ain't it? Trust in the Force.
Trust in the Force. Obi-Wan.
Yeah. So that's my ranking, man.